Well, welcome to the review here at the Oval. Another comfortable win for Australia. Mel Jones alongside me. Business as usual, Mel?
Well, you say it is, but I still think there's a couple of areas in and around Australia at the moment. They'll still want to tighten up if they're going to really progress deep into the tournament. But at the end of the day, some really good signs both for bat and ball.
Aaron Finch, wonderful innings. He's been watching his teammates, Warner and Smith, play so well. But obviously here's a match summary. 334 after being inserted. Interesting decision by Sri Lanka, but Australia played so well with the bat.
He was brilliant, wasn't he? He's the leading run scorer this year in one-day internationals. That's the second time he's hit 153 as well. He's gone past Ricky Ponting with the highest score for an Australian captain in a World Cup. Not too many people can say they've got one up on Ricky Ponting. But what I loved about him, right from the start, he struck the ball beautifully. His driving was bang on, and that's been his issue with his head position. That shot there said a lot to everybody watching. 7 boundaries in the first 26 deliveries. He went on the attack. Then 48 deliveries, he didn't hit a boundary at all. So he had just the flexibility and adjustment, and then he went boom at the end. It's his second home, the Oval. He absolutely loved it out there.
He loves playing at the Oval, and he's playing brilliantly at the moment. Here's the leading run scorers for the World Cup. Aaron Finch, top of the tree, 343. In hot pursuit, though, David Warner and Joe Root, exceptional in third place. And Shakib Al Hassan and Stephen Smith. So Australia obviously playing well with the bat.
Well, they're getting games in too. You've got to remember a few teams have been washed out, but that's good signs for the top order. There are still a couple of questions around the middle order for Australia at the moment, and their tail just trying to finish off big totals.
It must be wonderful for Australian batsmen to bat with Stephen Smith. Just comes in, goes about his business so easily. You look up and he's on 20 or 30. Played well again today.
He certainly did. He wears everything, not just on his sleeve, on his arm and his leg, and absolutely everything. You know exactly how he's feeling. If he doesn't get the ball into a gap, he's so frustrated with himself. But just his way to be able to manipulate the ball around, he's a very leg side dominant player. So you almost think, well, just don't bowl to him there. But he still manages to get the ball into the gaps, and he's enjoying himself. That shot there says a lot to me.
He is enjoying himself, as are all the Australian batsmen. As you rightly point out, lots of cricket under their belt as opposed to Sri Lanka. Icing on the cake, though, for Australia, Glenn Maxwell with the freedom to go in and just put the finishing touches on it. Yeah,
and that's exactly what they want from Glenn Maxwell in the order. There's a little bit of interesting byplay, isn't it? Because you've still got the Shaun Marsh and Usman Khawaja conundrum in and around it. But when you give Glenn Maxwell the freedom to strike the ball like this, he's not going to say, oh no, I'm just going to take a couple to settle myself in. He just goes from absolute ball one. He is your game changer for Australia.
What an entertainer, Glenn Maxwell, and all the Australian players so well. All scoring a good run rate as well, Mel. Striking nicely.
Yeah, most definitely. Big question. They lost 6 for 51 against Pakistan in 10 overs. Their last 5 overs here against Sri Lanka today, I think they only put on about 35 runs and I think they lost 3 wickets. So that is probably the area that Justin Langer would like to tidy up a little bit. Well,
the Sri Lankan bowlers, Malinga 1 for 61. Udana I thought was good, very good. 2 for 57 on a good pitch. And De Silva 2 for 40. 334 for 7. Could have been 350, 360. So at the halfway point, I think Sri Lanka would have been fairly happy going into the second innings.
Yeah, most definitely. I thought Udana was brilliant with the ball and in the field. Got a couple of those run-outs at the back end as well. I thought just the captaincy too, and they had De Silva on big boundaries as well to the right-handers. They just manipulated things around there really, really well. You're right, they could have been facing a bigger total than that.
Well, when you go into a halfway point in a match, sometimes when you finish the innings well with the bat and with the ball in the field, you take that positive energy, and they certainly did so with the bats. 2 Sri Lankan openers were sensational.
Oh, they were brilliant. It just brought the entire ground alive. Yes, most of the supporters here were Sri Lankan, but just the sound of the blade, that's the most impressive thing. It was length. I think Australia got the length wrong, but you still need to put it away, and that's what the openers did. You know, the captain, he's not used to playing this kind of knock, particularly in the power play overs, but he just got on the front foot and set the tone right from the start.
It looked like Australia were taken a little bit off guard with that opening partnership as Sri Lanka got off to such a flyer, but then Karunaratne went and the wicket started to tumble.
Yeah, unfortunately, wasn't it? And I suppose for Aaron Finch too, when you know you've got someone like Stark and Cummins you can bring back into the attack as well, and they didn't bowl, I think they only bowled 3 overs at the top. He wasn't happy with the way things were transpiring, brought Richardson and Behrendorff on, but then he knew he had probably, 3 to 4 spells in his quicks to be able to utilise. And when you've got Mitchell Stark, his amazing strike record at World Cups, 22 in the last World Cup. He's now gone to 12 wickets and leading wicket taker now. He's gone past Hogg, Tate, and Warren in terms of Australian
Good
wickets.
names.
Pretty good names. Equal now with Brett Lee. He's a handy guy to have in your team.
Oh, very, very handy. Nice to have left arm pace and no spin really for Australia today. No spinners used, but Maxwell did a good job with the ball with his occasional off spin.
Yeah, more than serviceable. When you go 10 overs, none for 46. Probably did get a wicket. They'd lost their review though.
Of course.
That's exceptionally handy. I think Aaron Finch, he'll be the first one to say, if I'm not bowling, that's a good win for Australia.
Very good, yeah. Well, that's all something to think about for Australia. We'll have a look at the bowling figures, the batting card here for Sri Lanka. Karunaratne very top heavy, 97 was excellent. Slowed up a tad towards his 100. Pereira was excellent, very entertaining for the crowd, but very top heavy, fell away badly for Sri Lanka.
Yeah, the concern there for them, I think, is Matthews. He's their senior player. He's not bowling anymore. Really looking to him to sort of, you know, guide them through those middle overs, and certainly couldn't get away with it. Stark, as we mentioned, 4 wickets to his name. He was brilliant. Cummins, he just under the radar once again, but just picks up wickets, exceptionally economical. Great to see Behrendorff getting a run too. And the question now for Australia is, do they keep going with these 4 seamers and the 1 part-timer in Maxwell?
Well, this is the match summary. Australia amassing 334 for 7. Sri Lanka, after a wonderful start, all out for 247. Stark, the pick of the bowlers. Australia winning by 87 runs in the end. Well, with that victory, Australia sitting pretty right up near the top of the tree. 8 points. 1 loss obviously under their belt, but New Zealand hot in their tails. And Sri Lanka not out of it. 5 games played, 4 points on the board. So plenty of cricket still to be played, Mel, but Australia sitting pretty.
Look, they'll be absolutely wrapped with the position that they're in at the moment. They've had the weather gods have been on their side. They've had the opportunity to play and pick up wins as well. For Sri Lanka, that was a big game for them, because if they got the win today, they could have just put that little buffer between them and the 6th position and down. So now they're in that situation. It's almost like a quarter-final for them every game now.
Let's forget about Australia for a moment. Let's look tomorrow, Manchester. Hopefully the weather gods are shining on us. India, Pakistan. How big a game?
I just got goosebumps, and I'm not from either country, but it's just the build-up to this game, isn't it? It is one of the histories, the traditions, the rivalries that everyone talks about. So I'm making sure that we get down to Taunton as quickly as possible so I can flick on the TV, sit down and relax and be thoroughly entertained.
Fantastic, Mel. Thank you so much for your talk today.
Cheers.
It's been absolutely wonderful. Australia have been fantastic. Don't forget, keep following on social media with the hashtag CWC19. We hope you enjoyed the game from the Oval. We certainly have. Goodbye.
Good morning from the Oval in London.
It's a new game. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, finally the sun's out.
You should call me before I go, 'cause I got options. Don't think
The
about
World Cup is about heroes.
there's something good though, and feeling more. You should call me.
What a beautiful shot.
Stand by.
It's been impressive today, the Australian skip.
There's a million other people here tonight.
He gets Warner, straight to the fielder. He gets Kawaja.
That's the big one. Innings of some certainty.
There's no lie. I can't stay on, stand by.
What a start here for Sri Lanka.
Sri Lankan flags everywhere.
You don't mind.
And it's overthrows as the Pereira follows his captain to 50.
There he is, the breakthrough man.
Get out of here. Mitchell Stark.